Well, we're glad you can join us once again for our Wonderful Day in the Lord broadcast. We're looking at the 7 churches of Revelation, chapter 2 and 3, and the message that Jesus is giving them. We recall that Jesus is the great I am. He says, I am the Alpha and the Omega, at the beginning and the end. And as that individual, that deity, that God, the beginning and the end of all things, he has wonderful messages that he's giving to the 7 churches that tell them what is important to him. Messages they need to hear, messages that you and I need to hear as well. As we march through the book of the church at Ephesus here in chapter 2, we've come down to the consequences of not heeding the message of Jesus. We saw last time that this church had veered away, apparently in their love for the Lord. Their love has grown cold. They have left their first love. They are told to remember that where they were at one point, to repent of the directions they have been going, and to repeat or do once again what they used to do, to get back in line with him as they should. What would happen if they didn't listen to Jesus? What would happen if they said, we're doing just fine. Don't get so upset about these things. We're one of the best churches in the whole area. Why are you upset with us? What if they simply didn't listen? What if you and I didn't listen? I mean, if we compare ourselves to other people around us, even other Christians, some of us might come out looking pretty good. And we might say, well, we're a lot better than so-and-so, and our church is better than that church, and those kind of ridiculous comparisons. But instead, we compare ourselves to Jesus Christ and what he has for us and what he wants us to be, and we recognize the needs that we have. But what if we don't? What if we don't choose to remember? And what if we don't choose to repent? And what if we don't choose to return to what we had once done? Well, here's what happens. We have the consequences of verse 5. But if not, he says, I am coming to you, and I will remove your lampstand out of its place unless you repent. Wow, that's powerful warning. That's a powerful consequence. If the lampstand is representative of the 7 churches, or of a church, as he says in the last verse of chapter 1, then he is telling this church, this very commendable church, who has done many great things, that if they continue down this pathway, he is going to remove their testimony, their life as a church. That is a frightening idea. I don't think that means that the Lord is going to remove their building, that he's going to remove their name off the sign out front. Matter of fact, I think many, many churches throughout the ages, including today, are no longer truly biblical churches. They've not heeded the message that Christ gives here and in other places, and therefore they are churches in name only. But the Lord has removed their lampstand, their light to the world. The Lord has removed their testimony, their influence in the world around us, because they're no longer representing him. And so as the one who walks among the lampstands, that one has been removed. Who knows how many thousands and even hundreds of thousands of churches that are still churches in name, but the Lord no longer walks among them, and he's removed their lampstand. And before we get too arrogant about that couldn't happen to us, let's remember he's talking to a good church. He's talking to good people who've had a lot of privileges, spiritually speaking, and he's warning them of the potential of losing everything that is really of value if they continue down that road. But he also goes on with the reward. He says in verse 7, he who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To him who overcomes, I will grant to eat of the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. For those that pay attention and those who walk with him, he gives great promises to them. He tells them, I hope you're listening. I hope you're paying attention. And if so, as you overcome these things, I will grant you to eat of the tree of life. Now, this tree of life we find in the very last chapter of the Bible, Revelation 22. It is a tree of life that only the believer can eat from in the eternal kingdom. So those who are truly his, who truly overcome, will one day eat of this fruit of the tree of life, and they'll be in fellowship with him forevermore. What does Jesus consider important according to the message to the church of Ephesus? Well, we've seen it a couple days ago, is that they love him supremely, that they not allow themselves to grow cold in their love for him, even as they serve him, but their love is supreme. Their love is for Christ himself. They're motivated by the love of him. May that be true of every one of us, and I trust as we look at our lives, this gives us encouragement in the things of Christ. Hope you can join us tomorrow.